Hello YouTube, welcome back to Case Technologies. This is our first video of the year, so I wanted to start off with something with a bang. And in today's video is just for basically anyone who's dealing with Python and wants to learn more about Python, and for those network engineers who want to learn how to automate any type of show configs that they're trying to get off of any Cisco devices, and anyone who would like to configure a network device. So let's go ahead and begin. Alright, Netmiko is a library that is multi-vendor, so you can use it with Juniper devices and Cisco devices and several other devices. Alright, what we're looking at right here is Netmiko 3.3.3, 3.3.3. Let's look at supported platforms. So if we look at supported platforms, so they have a wide range of devices. They're regularly tested, limited testing, and experimental. So let's click platforms. So if we come over to platforms, they're support platforms. They have Arista, Cisco ASAs, the firewalls, iOS, iOS XE, XR, the Nexus devices, HP Curve, Juniper, and they also are tested against Linux. So you can run this against Linux as well. Then they have their limited testing device list, and you can come check this out right here, kdbuyers.github.io. And then they have some more experimental devices right here. All right, so let's go back over here. This is the dependencies or requirements. They have this dependency of Terraform, SCP, PySerial, and TextFSM. And you have your tutorials and your get started. And we're going to do something basically similar to this in the script that I'm about to set up for you all. Make sure you have some type of device to run it against. If you have GNS3, you can use that, or you can use what I'm using, which is a Cisco CSR 1000V cloud router, and I'm using that in my VMware instance that I have set up. All right. So right here, if you look at it, I have a cloud router set up in VMware because I have experience in VMware. I also have to bring some more of that to my channel. I like to be doing some of that this year too, because VMware isn't necessarily dead yet. You still can use it, still practical for different things. But yeah, I can go ahead and show you some stuff that we would like to be doing, so that you know I have a working router here. So show IP interface brief, and that's the command right there that we see works, and that's my local IP address right there. So let's go ahead and remove both of these out of the way. Oh, I have to move this whole window, and we'll go ahead and basically get started with setting up the device, the password from Netmiko import connection handler. So just go ahead and copy this, and keep in mind they have 8022 for our port number here, but I'm going to use 22. If you have a different port you're running in your environment or at work or your enterprise network, you want to keep up with that. Okay, so I'm using Visual Studio as my editor. So I'm just going to say new file, and I'm going to save it right away as, I'm going to say show commands, show cmd.py. And first thing we want to do is go ahead and paste this, and all this is going to do is set up our device. And I have a CSR 1000V, but I don't like that name, so I'm just going to call it CSR. And we're going to save that, control save. Cisco iOS is correct. That's what I'm going to be using. I have to put in my IP. .245. And my username is case Cisco. And make sure you have all this enable secrets set up. That's a different video, but if you're using this, you should already know how to configure the basics on a Cisco router or switch. This will work for both. All right, and then we're gonna move into the next phase. And we're gonna just set up our SSH session by using what we imported up here from Netmiko, which is connect handler. And you want to do asterisk for keyword arguments, as it says right here, for quarks. And we're going to say router 1, because you can pass multiple. So we're going to do ssh.enable to set that connection up. And if you're wondering where I'm getting this from, this is right here. I'm going to bring this in for a second. So net connect equals connect handler. And you go here, they have it set as output, netconnect.send command. And that's going to be the next thing we're going to do. We're going to actually set up the send command part. Command equals SSH, because we're using a variable we set up here, and this shell, that this connection that we started, based upon all the settings that we have up here. Enable will start that connection. All right. Now we want to actually send a command to the CLI, and it's going to be show IP in brief. Save it, and then we want to actually print out the contents of that. And after that, we want to actually exit, make a clean exit. You want to make a habit of this if you're doing any scripting or programming. We want to exit enable mode. Okay. Oops. I didn't mean to open up that shell there. So let's just go ahead and do a quick, and I said router 1, I'm sorry, let me do CSR. I don't know what I'm thinking about. CSR, we have the CSR settings right here for our router. Then we have the SSH connection set up to utilize CSR to connect to. Then we start the connection, and then this variable right here, command, will actually send this command here. Then we have print the command right here. And then we're going to exit after we've grabbed the command. We're going to actually do a clean exit and shut down the session. So let's go ahead and start it. And I'm using Python 3. And the name of the program. And I'm just going to hit enter. And we should get back what the output is from the device. And here we go. It's the same thing we did earlier. Its interface is gigabit Ethernet 1. Our IP address. Is it okay? Yes. Manual up. So that was good. So if we wanted to run a different command, like show version, we want to know what the version is, we then do that. Clear. We just have to wait a little bit. And now we got the version. Let me expand this so we can get a better view. What's going on? So it gives you everything. Cisco iOS XE software. It gives our version 3.15. All the copyright information here. Your ROM. And it's a Cisco CSR 1000V, as I said earlier. and you get all the information, okay? So we can clear it. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, Sherman, what if I want to run multiple commands? Okay, then we'll just change this, and we want to send a config set. Config set, I think it is. Now I have to go check this. Let's bring this up. Yes, send config set, and then you have a list of commands that you want to run, and it will run them all for you, okay? So let's go ahead and check that out. And I'm gonna say cmd list. I'll call it. That's what we're gonna call it. We're gonna say show IP and brief. Well, actually, we want to start off with the version. Let's say we want to start off with the version. Show version. Show IP interface brief. And before that, we want to say show, and I think it's hostname, but let me check real quick. A little rusty on this, so let's check it out. No. Is it hostname? No. Here we go. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do a show ARP, or not show ARP, show CDP neighbors. All right. All right. Actually, we are going to do show art too. Show art. All right. So that's our command list, and then we're going to pass it into config set. Command list. And we're going to recap. So our command list, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commands we're going to run on this one particular device. What do I have here? Oh, we need to move that. I have to figure that hostname part out later. We're going to run 4 commands. Show version, show IP interface, brief. Then we're going to do show art. And then show CDP neighbors. And I'm actually going to do something a little different so I can get a better view of it. I'm going to run it with the Python built in. Here we go. The interactive shell, so that we can see all the Jupyter steps. Let's see something. Got an error. Stop that. Or exit out of that. All right, gotta look at the documentation. Oh, so when I do the config set, it's in config mode. All right, so we can do that. Let's see this. Those actually require a change. Let's do send command and see what we get. Because we don't want to configure anything, so that's perfect. I got a trick for that if we don't. It just doesn't work either for multiple commands. Oh, oops. Oh, I want to run it like that. I want to run it up here. And if you have Visual Studio, you can have the built-in Jupyter shell like this in the new 1.5 versions. All right, perfect. So that doesn't work like that. So what we're gonna have to do is I'm just gonna add do to each one, and we're gonna run it against the config set. And we're gonna run it again. And voila, there we go. And that's the problem right here. It's going into config mode. So you wouldn't be able to run just a show version or show IP interface brief or show ARP or show CDP neighbors. And then the actual set here, some config set, you wouldn't be able to run multiple commands from just the show commands one unless you do a for loop. And I could definitely do that as well. But here it is. We got everything back from the show version. Then we see right here, it says do show IP interface brief. And got our results. Do show ARP. Showing everything there. Do show CDP neighbors. CDP is not enabled. All right, so we can exit out of that. And then what we can do is something a little different. And we can say for command in CMD list. And we can do it like this. And then we can remove the do's by doing this right here. And we can just use the regular send command. Oops. All right. And then we want to go from send config set to send command. All right. So what we did right here is we maintained the same command list, but we said for each item in that command list, we're going to run the command here, and then we're going to print that command. So let's run it. All right. So it ran everything pretty much just as fast, it looks like. CDP is not enabled. So that was our last command here. So it looks pretty good. Same stuff, same things going on. And there you have it. That's how you can start utilizing Netmiko today to actually log into any of your devices and start getting back show commands, or you can also use the config set to actually make changes on those said devices. And like always, go ahead, comment, like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any comments or suggestions, always put them in the comments. You can also contact me directly. And thanks for tuning in.